Katharine Rauk is the author of Buried Choirs, Tinderbox Editions, and available for you on the merch table, and the chapbook Basil that came out through Black Lawrence Press. Her poems and reviews have appeared in Pleiades, Diagram, Hayden's Ferry Review, the Harvard Review, Tupelo Quarterly, Beloit Poetry Journal, Best of the Net, and other journals. She teaches at North Hennepin Community College. Katharine Rauk.
It's like a fancy microphone. Thank you, Paula and Maura, for inviting me. I'm really honored to be here with all these other artists. I think it's wonderful that you've created this space for artists of different genres to collaborate. That's really exciting. I thought I knew a quote about, you're writing a good poem when it feels like you're riding a wild horse, but just clinging to the tail. And so that, I don't know, I Googled that and I just got a bunch of bad horse poems. So I don't know if that's actually a saying where I heard that. But collaborating with other musicians feels kind of like that, really exciting but terrifying. So thank you. How I learned to speak. I was born in a sleigh drawn over ice by a fleet of black roosters. My mother did not make a sound. The roosters did not make a sound. The stars did not make a sound. The blades of the sleigh said, shh. So the Slovenian poet Tomas Solomon wrote a poem called I Have a Horse, and I really like this poem, and I don't have a horse, so I wrote the poem I Have a Dog. I have a dog. My dog has 2 ears. I have a piano. On my piano, I play badly. I have a daughter. She likes me to sing her to sleep. I have 39 years. I am not more courageous than most. I have insurance. I have it because I have a husband with a real job. Aren't I lucky? I have luck. With luck, I will keep my husband. I have a body. With it, I do the most devastating things that I do. I have poetry. I fear poetry is only a hobby, but it keeps me from watching too much reality TV. I have Lauren from The Bachelor. When Lauren has too much tequila, she says exactly what she thinks. Lauren has some thoughts she should not have. She has a complicated history. For example, she was born in a country built on plunder and rape. I have a mother and father that love me. They love me even though they have divorced. I have rain. I like to watch it lick the bones of spring. I have an iPhone. In the evenings when I'm in bed, I read the news and close my eyes. So this next poem is a poem about how we build things, like poems, but also bodies or countries or history. Master plan. Write one good poem, then write another good poem. Sorry, I just messed up the first 2 lines, so I'm going to start over. Master plan. Write one good line, then write another good line to stack beneath it, is how my teacher told me it's best to build a poem. Well, fuck you. I don't care if you have cancer. That's the most ridiculous advice I ever heard and even copied down in my journal. Like it could ever be so easy to come to terms with the end of a line. My son wanting to get back on the train to ride with all the other men he doesn't know are homeless and have nowhere else to be, while he scored a ticket to Underwater World at the Mall of America with his grandma. What I want to know is how do they make the glass so thick it can keep the sharks from pouring into Chipotle in the event of a catastrophic storm, which, if you think about it, isn't so unlikely in this district of cinder blocks on top of prairie, on top of bones. Some history holds up a sturdy roof over your head, even though the foundation lies on stolen lands. Welcome to the roads with the soldiers on them. Welcome to the roads with the rain all running to the sea. Welcome to the cells in the bodies that are marching out of line, and to the bodies with the wind on them, the wind that choirs each church, the grasses knot and weave. It matters how things get built. It matters how things get built in this world. So last year I discovered I have a heart arrhythmia, and so that's where this poem came from. Taking apart the radio to find the song. My heart operates imperceptibly faster than it should, which is perfectly normal, the doctor said, under certain circumstances, such as, I am a woman with a heart anatomically smaller than most hearts that get measured by machines. And sometimes my racehorse heart jumps the gun, mad for the track that is just now beckoning the feet. Or perhaps I'm a poet that feels and therefore stutters. Once, to prove I had a second heart growing inside me, the technician glided a wand, and out of the empty sky I thought was my belly conjured thunder galloping along some distant shore. My daughter, how does electricity spark the heart to open the doors at the right time and close them? What miracle of salt from the first sea sizzles my blood, now yours? The doctor takes apart the heart molded from plastic, gives me half to hold in my hand. Who keeps the beat, lets some hearts stray? There are navigational errors in the currents of your heart, the doctor said, which is perfectly normal, I said, considering I'm alive, thanks to this bloody organ so perfectly pumping the defective soundtrack of my life. Here's another poem for my daughter. How big should a baby spider plant get before I plant it? Was in the Google search history, right after, is it okay to have multiple middle school crushes? And who wins season 7 of Alone? So now I know what else besides the what happens when you die question, plus how anyone could ever have a baby when it hurts so much, keeps my daughter from sleep. Also, the relative happiness of chickens when you steal their eggs, since she intends to build a coop in our backyard and name her flock after confections. Did you know chickens dream, love to dust bathe? My daughter is the Siri of chickens, thanks to the pandemic, which she spent cloistered in her room reading How to Speak Chicken, instead of sitting on a blanket 6 feet away from another blanket where her friend was sitting, one of the few things I let her do unmasked. Did you know Gumdrop and Bit of Honey will sing for each other when one of them lays an egg? Did you know chickens can recognize a human face? Someday, when my daughter has her own iPhone, I'll text her, look out the window of wherever you are, this very moment going, and she will write back, I am. This poem is called In the Summer of My 42nd Year, and it's after the poet W.S. Merwin, who wrote In the Winter of My 38th Year, but I missed that year, so this is In the Summer of My 42nd Year. I can't get my heart to stop juddering. The doctor said it's something about electricity, but not to worry. I'm worried. Would you worry? Don't be a buzzkill, says my friend who doesn't have a heart that sputters in storms, let alone when there's an eerie calm among the grass, which, if you think about it, is God on day 6 mounting a plan for tomorrow's beetles. I am impossible is something else my friend says when I text her about the mystery bundle of my heart, namely, the unnameable I know is not just another word for desire, though that too burns in the filaments of flowers, coiled in bare bulbs, plugged into wet dirt. They wake up the stars in their sockets, while I, incandescent, am as far from myself as ever. And I'll read one more, which comes from a Rumi poem called Love Dogs, translated by Coleman Barks. And now I'm realizing how many of my poems here are riffing off somebody else's poems. So Rumi says there are love dogs no one knows the names of. The thing about exes is some people have them. I don't. I collect sugar packets, my only excess. The thing about sex is I thought it'd be enough, like writing a poem about the moon. Turns out it never leaves you less thirsty. The thing about XXX is that Rumi line, how we're all doggy silent after the divine. The thing about death is the weight of the heart when Anubis drops it onto the scales. Just stop and think for half a sec about what's in there, unless your brain has already been extracted by hook through your nose. Abracadabra, now you are a sky wrecked with bells. In other words, rain. The thing about a hex is how it could be a jinx or a screw with 6 sides. Does it matter what we call it? Either way, we get fastened, and the thing about yes is my leash. Thank you.